And Brian, probably a follow-up to the Coalition story, but a former Coalition staffer this time has been identified as lobbying for the tobacco industry.
Tony Barry, who worked for Malcolm Turnbull fairly briefly, as I understand it, although the story doesn't say that, is now working for the tobacco industry to lobby against the sort of ugly packaging plans of the government. He'll have his work cut out, seeing the opposition now has agreed to support them. But I guess, as you mentioned, it's a counterpart in some ways to the story about the former Labor Party National Secretary, Karl Batar, joining the Packer gambling organisation to lobby against the government's planned controls on poker machines.
Well, now that the opposition has come on board, they don't need a journalist, they need a lawyer, I think, the industry, because the only approach they now have is to go to the High Court, isn't it, and challenge it that way.
Well, it would seem so. I mean, Tony Barry obviously hasn't been all that effective, given that the coalition's gone the other way. The story also mentions the issue of the Institute of Public Affairs possibly accepting donations from big tobacco and not declaring them. I mean, which is possibly an issue, although I think you could probably argue that the IPA's sort of free market credentials are such that they'd have argued against the plain packaging donations or no donations.
For free.
OK, well, that's the Sunday Papers. Now we'll go to our studio guest, the Minister for Families, Housing, Community Services and Indigenous Affairs, Jenny Macklin. She's about to take Julie Gillard on a tour of Aboriginal communities in the Northern Territory. Tony Abbott went on a similar road trip in late April. So while the Minister joins us, here's a reminder of that.
I think the intervention has made a difference. It hasn't been perfect. Nothing is perfect, but it has made a difference. For too long, there has not been the expectation that Aboriginal kids would go to school or the expectation that Aboriginal adults would take work. Now, we've got to break that expectation.
But it's not just a failure of this government or that government, it's a failure of all governments at all times.
I absolutely accept that, and that's why I said to the Prime Minister to indicate that the country, not just individual politicians, are taking this seriously. Why don't the two of us, in a spirit of bipartisanship, go to Alice Springs, sit down with the senior Indigenous leadership and at least let them know that we are determined to make a difference.